So before we get into whether you should get a patent, let's say you have a patent. What can you use it for? I've created a list here of the top ways patents are used by companies in general, and they're sorted by likelihood of happening. So the most likely outcome for your patent is number one, the least likely is number four. And let's go down the list. Basically, if you were filing a patent, I would say the most likely scenario is you're using that patent to get investment, to sell your company for a higher price, or to close deals with vendors. And having patents will improve the perception of your company for all of those three transactions. So that goes without saying that in those transactions, patents are simply, if you have them, it helps you. People don't do deep dives into patents and to see, oh, how good, strong or weak is this patent as much in these situations. But I would say this is the most likely outcome for your patent. The second most likely outcome and use of your patent is that they will help deter competitors from suing you. And this is how it works. Basically, when a competitor wants to sue you, and generally competitors become litigious when they are sort of dying. That's just historically been the case. And they want to extract most value out of their assets. They'll find people that they can assert the patents against. And what they'll first do is they'll see the strength of their opponent. So does their opponent have patents or doesn't have patents? And that calculus will affect whether they go after you or not. Because if you don't have patents, there's a litigation cost to just their assertion. But if you do have patents, then they might have to deal with a countersuit. So the cost of litigation goes way up and they'll think twice about suing you. This actually happened quite recently with a company and ServiceNow. So ServiceNow didn't have a lot of patents and didn't have any patents actually, and they're in the software business. And this bigger company kind of sued them for patent infringement, and ServiceNow couldn't do anything about it. They had nothing to fight them back with, and then they settled. They basically paid out hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, I guarantee you, if ServiceNow had a few patents, at least a few patents in the portfolio covering their stuff, then they would have decreased down the amount of damages that they would have had to pay. The third thing that patents are used for, and again, this is much less likely to happen than the first two outcomes, is that patents are used in licensing or sales. Now, what licensing is for basic primer for folks is that you allow other companies to utilize your right, so practice your invention in exchange for something else. So that could be a fee, a royalty fee, or it could be a license to their patents, so like what's called a cross license. There are different possibilities there, but that's an option. And then the other scenario is that you can sell your patents to someone else for money. And in 2020, the average transaction price for a sale of patent is $150,000. And to be clear, the patents that transact are generally good, strong patents. If your patent is weak, you're not going to be able to sell it. And so, again, from the previous slide, it costs around $35K to get a patent, and some are sold for $150K. However, a very small percentage of patents transact. So I would say under 5%. So I would not want to file a patent just to think you can sell it. But that's the going number these days. Now, the fourth patent outcome that is the least likely to happen, but is actually the most one of the most cited reasons for filing a patent, is that they want to provide protection against copycats. Now, the thing is, what that means is you have to actually assert your patents in litigation. Now, generally, under 1% of patents reach this stage, and this is because it's actually very hard to win a litigation using patents. Lots of things have to align. For example, one, you have to have patents that really hit the other side, the broad patents. So a lot of companies, I don't think, have the luxury of having extremely broad patents. And then two, of course, there's the issue of who your opponent is, because depending on who that is, that can drastically increase or decrease the cost of litigation. And also three, over half of the patents that are granted are actually invalidated in future course because they find prior art, or they find something that renders your right moot, that essentially invalidates your patent, so you can't use it anymore. So I would say Definitely do not file a patent thinking that you will be able to use it in litigation. Mostly you should consider filing patents if you think they might help you in getting investment or increasing the perceived value of your company.